Tonight, Reel to Reel takes you to San Francisco, where the entire Bay Area community rallies together after the 7.1 earthquake to save the Gothic landmark, St. Dominics Roman Catholic Church. And in our vintage video segment, Joe O'Neill remembers Jim Henson, the mastermind behind the fantasy film Labyrinth. Tonight on Reel to Reel. Hello, I'm Monsignor Charles Meinong.
And hello, everyone. I'm Pat Shelton. Welcome to Reel to Reel. No doubt you've heard about the new film rating called NC-17. No children under 17 admitted. Well, what does it mean? Is it a good move? Is it a bad move? Does it mean anything? Well, we'll be discussing NC-17 tonight with film critic Bill Wine.
And Joe O'Neill has a very interesting thing for us to see tonight on Labyrinth, a great videotape that talks about forgiveness in a very special way of approaching it and developing it. Well, forgiveness means memory and not memorizing. But forgiveness means we also have to understand some relics have to be preserved. Of the memories we have gone through, the San Francisco earthquake is about the worst in the most recent years. And so San Francisco has to revive some of its memories very, very carefully. Wait till you see the development they have made on the beautiful church of St. Dominic. It's a relic for survival, a precious gift to be preserved.
I was shaking so bad that I thought the house was going to fall down. And I could hear the noises of plates and glasses falling down to the floor.
And I could see people getting off the bus and running hysterically to their home, to what was or the remainings of their home. And the next thing I know is I encounter our neighbor from downstairs, and she says, Dina, we have to get out of this area because everything is going to catch fire just in 1906.
It happened on October 17th at 5:04 p.m. An earthquake measuring 7.1 on the Richter scale violently shook the San Francisco Bay Area. Causing widespread damage, it forever changed the lives of the people who suffered the brunt of its devastation. Rebuilding from the ruins left in the wake of this disaster has been a slow, hard process. Caught in the path of the quake's destruction were a number of structures, including historic landmarks. St. Dominic's Catholic Church in the heart of San Francisco was one such building. Completed in 1928, it is said to be the finest example of Gothic revival architecture west of the Mississippi. Regarded as a masterpiece, reminiscent of the medieval classic design of Western European cathedrals, it sustained severe damage as a result of the quake. Large pieces of plaster and rubble littered the church's interior, and 42 feet of the original 16-story bell tower had to be removed. At one point, closed and declared a condemned building, the church has since reopened, but its survival still remains seriously threatened by the likelihood of another major quake. A community effort known as the St. Dominic's Restoration Project has been underway to raise $6.1 million in order to ensure the preservation of this architectural wonder. Father Martin Walsh is pastor of St. Dominic's and has been closely involved with the restoration effort.
In 1984, it was discovered that the church is not seismically safe. This caused great consternation in the whole community of San Francisco. When I first came as pastor 2.5 years ago, we began a campaign just among the people who worship at this church, many of whom are very poor people. But from the very community of this parish then, a little over $1 million was raised. Now we are seeking the support of the community at large to save a work of art.
Marshall Dills is a European history professor and a lifetime member of St. Dominic's Parish, who was instrumental in launching the restoration campaign.
You might as well have asked me, would the people of Paris like to destroy Notre Dame Cathedral? We feel that it is one of the most beautiful buildings in our beautiful city, and that to destroy it would be just an act of barbarity. So a large number of us have been interested in trying to raise the large amount of money that is necessary in order to make it seismically safe.
The effort to make St. Dominic's seismically safe was intensified as a result of the October 17th earthquake. The near loss of the church's magnificent artistry has made the restoration effort an urgent priority. As a result, 75% of the needed $6.1 million has already been raised from the local community. Preserving the structural integrity of St. Dominics involves a unique reinforcement of the church's exterior walls, inspired from the architecture of medieval European cathedrals. Brother Daniel Thomas serves as the public relations liaison for the St. Dominics Restoration Project.
The architects and engineers came in and said, what are we going to do about this church? And a Gothic church like St. Dominics, you need to preserve the interior design and sense. This is when the designers, the structural engineers, came up with a classic solution in the form of flying buttresses. We all are familiar with those in Notre Dame that support the walls at their ceiling point. So the flying buttresses will connect in to the roof line, which will have a steel and concrete reinforced beam that will encircle the entire church. That ties the whole building together so that if there is an earthquake, the entire building rumbles, but it does not move in contradictory fashion as I saw it move during this earthquake of October 17th.
When one enters St. Dominics, it becomes obvious why so great an effort is being made to protect this structure. Within the high vaulted ceilings and breathtaking archways lies a wealth of extraordinary artwork. From the elaborately designed confessional doorways to the sensitive portrayals of Christ's crucifixion, and even to the famous Shrine of St. Jude's, which attracts visitors from all over the western United States. The St. Dominics environment transcends this ordinary world and brings about a sense of holiness, reverence, and awe. The magnificent altarpiece, made of artisan-sculpted marble, reaches skyward as though it was made to connect with the heavens. The soft movement of light molded through the handcrafted stained glass windows plays upon the interior like a well-choreographed ballet of iridescent colors. Caught in the midst of this majestic beauty, one comes to truly believe that this is the house of God, a house well worth saving.
It is unique in its design. There is not another church like St. Dominics in this area in California, perhaps west of the Mississippi, of that style. It's too precious a gift to just say, we can't do anything about restoring it, just tear it down and build something else. That would be a real loss of a style of architecture and a place of worship.
I think St. Dominics is inspiring because it's a work of sacred art, that it calls attention to people to the presence of God by just looking at the church from the outside without even entering in. And once one has entered, then one enters in the realm of the sacred.
It's not likely San Francisco will ever forget the earthquake, but just in case it might, St. Dominics will be a sure reminder of the reality of it all.
Joe O'Neill's film pick this week is a fantasy film entitled Labyrinth. It's a collaboration by the late Jim Henson of Muppets fame, and you might imagine that if Jim Henson had anything to do with it, it would be good family viewing. Let's ask Joe O'Neill what he thinks about it.
Jim Henson's recent sudden death shocked all of us. He was the genius behind the lovable Muppet Menagerie. Luckily, he left behind a legacy of TV shows and films for future generations to share. And one of them is an excellent and funny family film called Labyrinth, a collaboration between Jim Henson and George Lucas of Star Wars fame. Labyrinth tells a fantasy tale of a selfish young girl who winds up in an Alice in Wonderland type adventure, a land inhabited by an odd cast of Henson Muppets that will make you and your children laugh. Sarah is the girl's name. The plot? She must find her way through a life-size maze, a labyrinth, to save her baby brother from the dark forces of evil, the Goblin King, played by rock star David Bowie. I'm sure Tippy Gore would appreciate that casting. And a great scene from Labyrinth. In the maze, Sarah comes to two doors. Which way will lead to her little brother? The doors are of no help.
It's not fair. But that's only half of it.
This was a dead end a minute ago.
No, that's the dead end behind you.
It keeps changing. What am I supposed to do?
Well, the only way out of here is to try one of these doors. One of them leads to the castle at the center of the labyrinth, and the other one leads to certain death. Ooh.
which one is which?
We can't tell you.
Why not?
We don't know. But they do.
Oh, then I'll ask them.
No, you can't ask us. You can only ask one of us. It's in the rules. And I should warn you that one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies. That's a rule, too. He always lies.
I do not. I tell the truth.
Oh, what a lie!
Oh. He's the liar.
All right. Answer yes or no. Would he tell me that this door leads to the castle?
What do you think? Really, I don't know. Yes?
Then the other door leads to the castle and this door leads to certain death.
Oh. How do you know? He could be telling the truth.
But then you wouldn't be. So if you told me that he said yes, I know the answer is no.
But I could be telling the truth.
But then he would be lying. So if you told me that he said yes, I know the answer would still be no.
Wait a minute. Is that right? I don't know. I've never understood it.
No, it's right. I figured it out. I can never do it before. I think I'm getting smarter. It's a piece of cake.
It's a movie with a sense of humor, and in between the lines, children will learn selfishness is evil in the world. Plus, they'll understand how friends come from being unselfish. And adults will enjoy the witty dialogue. Labyrinth is available on Embassy Home Entertainment. The United States Catholic Conference gives a collective thumbs up to this imaginative motion picture. This is Vintage Video. I'm Joe O'Neill.
Well, when yes means no or no means yes, you can get caught in a labyrinth or fall through a hole, but you stay with us, we'll bring you right back safely.
Excuse me. I want to give blood.
You're in the right place. Come with me.
I heard about those people in the accident. I just want to help.
Great.
How are they doing anyway?
Well, last we heard, they're going to be just fine.
You know, it's a good thing you guys were there.
No. It's a good thing you are here.
Call the American Red Cross. Your neighbors need you.
Could this Philadelphian be made a saint of the Catholic Church? The answer may be yes. She's Catherine Drexel, beatified by Pope John Paul II in 1988. Now you can experience her adventurous life story on audio cassette. Get America's Catherine Drexel, The Life of a Saintly Woman. Hear about her life through the voices of the people who actually knew her and continue her work today. The cost of this dramatic audio cassette is only $4.95. To order, call 215-587-3775.
What can you do about AIDS?
Create hope.
It's really important that you listen.
Put quality in their lives.
Seek reconciliation.
We need to hug and we need to say, I love you.
We're the 6th grade of Presentation BB and Cheltenham, and you're watching Reel to Reel. Yay!
Yay, they said they're cute. We enjoy film around here, as you probably do. And if you do, you might want to know more about this new film rating, NC-17. And so we invited a film critic to be with us tonight to discuss NC-17, and he is Bill Wine. Bill Wine, thank you for coming to see us. Let me tell the people that you are a professor of communications at LaSalle University, as well as an eminent film critic. Now, Bill, first let me say, too, before we get into NC-17, you know that LaSalle produces some of the best communications students that I have ever come across. They are working everywhere.
I see them.
Including our
Coming out
own
of the
Joe
woodwork,
O'Neill.
yeah. I know.
Okay. You do a good job there.
Thank you.
Now, tell us about this NC-17. It stands for what?
No children under 17 allowed. And it was recently a change within the Motion Picture Association of America, the X rating that for years has meant films that theoretically children 17 and under couldn't get into. The rating will now be NC-17, and the change was made basically to accommodate films that were adult in content but not at all pornographic. And it came about really because of film directors and film studios saying the X rating cost them a lot of money because many newspapers would not advertise for X-rated films, many theaters would not show them, and they, for years, people, including me, have been pushing for a rating that said to audiences, not this is pornographic, but this is adult, children are not invited, but these are serious films by serious filmmakers with something to say, and they deserve to be shown, to be made, and to be seen. And whether that will eventuate, we don't know yet, but that's why it was made. That's why the change was made.
But aren't the filmmakers sort of cutting themselves off in the pocketbook because a large percentage of the audience are young people?
Yeah, that's true. 14, 15, and 16-year-olds certainly are patrons of the movies and go back over and over again. So these will be films that automatically say we're cutting off that segment of the audience, but theoretically, these are films that still need to be made, and I suppose there's a come-hither quality to the content that will bring to theaters people who ordinarily would not have gone to films that appeal to teenagers.
I know it's a hard thing to define, but maybe you can draw us an illustration of the difference between a film that would take an R rating and an NC-17.
Well, it's hard to define, and I'm not sure it's really... Theoretically, the Motion Picture Association board that rates movies says we take it on a movie-by-movie basis. There isn't any one profane word that automatically gets a film an X. There isn't any one sexual act. There isn't any one act of violence that gets an X. But within the context of the film, we give a film an X rating if we feel it's beyond the point that any 16-year-old should see it, and an R rating if it's not quite that far. I think the distinction is going to be that X-rated films are pornographic in that they're very clinical and obvious about sexuality and violence. These are films that are often about sexuality, about violence, about death, but not necessarily exploiting those subjects. They're examining them without exploiting them or saying to audiences, come and we will show you footage that is objectionable. It's the content itself. One thing I'm not sure people understand, the X rating is the only rating that was never copyrighted. So the pornographic filmmakers have always used the X not so much to say children shouldn't come in, but to say buy this film and appeal to a certain audience. Now these are respectable, artistic films that are about content that children are not invited to. So it is really opening up avenues for serious, responsible filmmakers that weren't open before.
I see. Now, unlike the R ratings, which also sometimes give the explanation that there are for violence, or R for sex, or R for profanity, we won't have this with NC-17. You just flat out don't have to explain it. No children allowed.
The R rating will be the only rating with an explanation of why. This rating just means the content is aimed at people old enough, mature enough to handle it, and leave your 15-year-olds home. And
I've
theoretically, the theater should not let any 15-year-old in.
That's what I was going to say. I've never seen a theater actually challenge a young person questioning their age.
There have been.
Do you think they will do this
I have
now?
seen it done, not as extensively as it should be. I don't know. I think some theater chains are much more responsible than others about policing that and keeping out 15-year-olds. Let's put it this way, I don't think it will get any worse. Whether the theaters will be responsible about keeping people out, I'm not sure, but chances are the theaters that have been responsible in the past will continue to be, and those that have not will not. But
by and large, it's probably a help to parents. It's more of a good thing than a bad thing.
I feel that way.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think I agree
do.
with you.
Yeah. A few years from now, we'll know, but right now, I think this is a good thing for serious film goers and serious filmmakers.
Yeah, it'll take a couple of years because I understand there's only one film so far rated.
Henry and June, the only film with this rating so far. There will be others, but there are really so few in this category. Several hundred films a year made. We'll know in 2 years.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us,
Thank
Mr. Wine. And now, I want you to stay tuned for some very short movies, public service messages for your interest.
Hey, Max, watch it. Sarah's mom might hear us. So how old did you say this stuff was?
It belonged to my great-grandparents. It's almost 100 years old.
Pretty neat. What could have made these people so angry? Homeless. Gosh, to think some people really didn't have homes. Hey! Look at this one.
Oh, that's the bomb.
That was something real bad, wasn't it? Sarah, could this thing kill us?
Oh, no. All of the people got together last century and got rid of all of the bombs, and there aren't any left.
Let's give the future back to the children.
Oh, look at this.
20 years ago, leukemia took the lives of enough people to fill a ballpark. But today, thanks to research by the Leukemia Society, more and more people are surviving. The Leukemia Society of America, we're closing in on a killer.
We welcome your comments, suggestions, and donations and encourage you to write us at Reel to Reel, St. Charles Seminary, 1000 East Wynwood Road, Overbrook, PA 19096, or call us during regular business hours at 668-9842.
Looking around, many things can be terribly distracting, and trying to integrate them all becomes tough. Well, we have three lovely things for you to see right now, and if you look at them separately, you're going to be distracted, but there's a common line which holds them all together. Adoration, the creative person within, and a metaphor for beauty.
Heavenly Father, help us to open up our hearts and our minds to the mystery of the Mass. Allow us to enter into it in a true, participating way, so that we can see what your Son, Jesus Christ, has done for us, that we can be part of this Paschal banquet in which he gives to us his body and blood and nourishes us in our journey through life. Aid us in understanding how to die to ourselves and to live for you, that the sacrifice of the Mass is lived daily in our own lives, that we, like the grain of wheat, are able to fall into the ground and to produce great fruits for your glory. Allow us, as we enter into the Mass, to open up our hearts to your message, to use our imagination as we listen to your word, to give ourselves time to think of our sins, our relationships, the motives and reasons behind our sins, and the regrets of our lives that we can correct in the future. But most of all, allow us to commune with your Son, Jesus Christ, through his body and blood, as we receive the Holy Eucharist after we've asked for forgiveness for those who have hurt us and to those who are part of our lives. Help us always be one with you through the Mass. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
As we grow older, we finally find the time to do the things that we've always yearned to do. Many seniors have always yearned to be writers, and inside this particular Senior Citizen Center, there's a writing class where we're finding some of the most extraordinary talent and some beautiful memories.
I never saw Charles pick on Leo. I never even saw him have anything to do with Leo. Some kids fight and some kids run, and mostly a kid will fight some other kid.
Jim is drawing from memories 60 years past. Jim's been refining his writing in this class for 2 years, and he's getting very, very good.
I think this class has actually started me on the possibility of writing for publication. If I ever do, I'll owe it to this class.
Writing teacher Rosalind Belcher provides insight for the pupils. At one point, she asked a fascinating question.
How many of you feel that you really had a painful childhood? And let me have a show of hands, and I'm going to raise mine.
Surprisingly, nearly everyone raised a hand, and yet the written memories reflected an opposite view of life.
Aunt Hattie is visiting us for a few days. She has a cloud of soft white hair settled on top of her head with a little biscuit right in the middle. She is Mama's sister and is chock full of little sayings. No matter what.
In the middle, we slipped and slid our way to school, laughing because we were covered with snow, because our noses were red, and because we looked funny.
Daddy likes to invent things, and I think I take after him.
in this way, although he doesn't know it. Mom takes the Saturday evening plate.
Companionship abounds here. Loneliness and sorrows just melt away. Mary seemed to sum it up just right.
It's been magic. My whole life has turned around.
From a senior center where dreams could come true, I'm Doris Winkler.
What makes you dance? Those little flowers dance like mad when they hear their music. Actually, they're just responding to a programmed stimulus. But let's pretend they're dancing because they're happy, because the music makes them happy. There's music for everyone. It's a little hard to kick up your heels to La Traviata, but most every other music makes somebody's body bounce into rhythm. For most people today, it's rock. For us old-timers, it was Jitterbug or Glenn Miller. Back in the days when dancers actually touched each other and didn't call it dirty dancing. Personally, I can't dance at all. Well, that's not exactly true. Owing to some genetic aberration, I can Charleston like crazy, and you know how good crazy is. Well, until the Roaring '20s come back, I remain a dancing klutz. But dancing really is a kind of metaphor for joy. Your heart and soul can dance for joy. What really makes it spirit dance is the good news. That's what Christ teaches. He teaches that there's a glorious meaning to even the saddest life, and that we are each loved and monitored by heaven itself, that we're kissed by angels when we pray, that we can be forgiven if we're sorry, and believe that there's a glorious future wherein every tear will be wiped away. That body of knowledge is the music of Christ. And while it may not set your toes to tapping, it makes my soul trip the light fantastic. What makes you dance?
Now you put it all together. Good night, and God bless you.
Good night, everyone. See you next week.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen, Newtown Square, PA, 215-359-5980.
We have often used these 30 seconds to talk about the Young Adult Prayer Group.
That's because we would like every young man or woman, single or married, 18 to 35, to come and experience the power of God in our midst.
We meet this coming Saturday and every fourth Saturday of the month at Presentation BVM, 204 Haverford Road, Penwyn, Pennsylvania.
So if you're 18 to 35, single or married, come on out to Presentation School in Penwyn.
If you need directions, just call 215-668-HOPE.